Hey, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? I know it takes a few seconds for all of you folks to get the notifications and all that, so I'll give it a couple of seconds. But if you are tuning in, definitely let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from, and we'll get this party started, right? I'm going to be talking about a pretty important topic today that a lot of you have expressed, some frustration about, right? Regarding recruiters, like why aren't recruiters responding to your messages? So again, I'll give it a few seconds for people to start kind of tuning in. And let me know in the comments, folks, who you are, where you're tuning in from. Great networking opportunity for all of you folks. And let me just hit live on my Instagram for all my Instagram people as well. All right, awesome. Looks like I'm live on Instagram. Shout out to everyone on Instagram, and shout out to everyone on LinkedIn, on Facebook tuning in. Where else? We got Periscope in the house. We got YouTube. We got hey Haki, how's it going? Yeah, new background. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So move places. So you folks might notice a different background from where I'm broadcasting from. But don't be shy, folks. Introduce yourself in the comments. Great networking opportunity for all of you folks to network with each other. We got VD in the house. Hey, VD, thanks for tuning in. We got Vishal all the way from Mumbai. Wow, all the way from Mumbai. Thanks for tuning in, Vishal. Who else? Let me know in the comments, folks, before I get this thing started. So I can give some shout outs to those of you folks tuning in and see if I can get you some attention. And hey, who knows? Maybe you might be able to network with someone who can help you in your job search, right? Harish, hey, how's it going, Harish? We got Ravinder from Saskatoon. All right, Saskatoon's in the house. Hey, Ravinder, thanks for tuning in. We got Krishna all the way from India. We got Lohita from Toronto. Awesome, another recruiter. I can't say another anymore because I'm not recruiting anymore for the time being. But we got Kushak from UAE. We got Anjali from Mississauga. Anjali says, thanks for all the job search tips. Hey, no worries, Anjali. My pleasure. And thanks for tuning in. We got Daval from Mumbai. We got Saranya from Bangalore. Wow, it's very diverse now. A lot of people outside of Canada and the US tuning in. So appreciate all of you from other countries tuning in. Sheena from Canada. Awesome. So folks, for those of you tuning in for the first time, if you haven't tuned in before, my name is Dean Kuluira. So I've been an IT recruiter for about 8+ years. I've been in the staffing and recruitment agency side of the equation. So primarily I've been working in staffing agencies, right? I've never worked in corporate recruitment, but on the staffing agency side, what this has allowed me is the opportunity to really recruit on a quite a diverse range of opportunities, right? And a diverse range of clients, different companies, different industries, different organizations, different types of decision makers and stakeholders, right? People ranging from HR people all the way up to C-level, or in the case of startups and small size businesses, company owners and entrepreneurs. So, and the reason why I mentioned this is all of my tips and advice that I'm sharing with all of you folks on LinkedIn or on these live streams is based on those experiences in such a wide array of different industries, different types of decision makers and stuff like that. So I just wanted to let you know, all of you know, that's the source of my advice and tips and strategies. It's based on the real world, and it's based on a wide range of different types of organizations and companies. So anything I'm sharing with you today is, although, most of my network is IT professionals, and some of the advice, it might be applicable, to IT professionals, but pretty much what I talk about is applicable across the board, whatever your industry is, and anything of that sort. So a few more shout outs here. Wow, we got a whole bunch of people coming in here. We got Priya all the way from Copenhagen. Wow, that's awesome. That's fantastic. We got KP from Mississauga. Nice to see you here, KP. We got Suresh from Colombo. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, Suresh. And we got Amit. We got Mohan from Belgaum. Awesome. Akshay. And we got, hey, Faiz. Good to see you here. Awesome to see you tuning in, Faiz. So, folks, going from my introduction, so I've been working in IT recruitment for 8+ years. Recently made the switch into IT job search coaching. So just to give you a heads up, for those of you, particularly IT professionals in Canada or the US, you're struggling in your job search. You're not sure which direction to take. You need some assistance. I want to make sure that you send me a direct message after this session or during the session. I'd love to set up a 30-minute discovery call with you to learn a bit more about your situation and how I can help you as your personal coach through your job search. All right, so make sure you do that. Now, quick few announcements, folks, on some events going on. And again, shout out to everyone on Instagram as well, and everyone else on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope tuning in. So in terms of some events coming on, so mark your calendars, folks, for those of you who are in the Toronto area, right? Or you're in the GTA, or well, I guess it's not really limited right now because of this whole situation with COVID and everything being remote and stuff like that. But I am speaking at the TO Tech Career Fair. It's a virtual career fair, and it's going to be on Thursday, August 22nd. So I believe that's next week. And I'm going to be speaking, and I can't remember the time frame, but it's sometime between 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. But I'm going to be speaking about why follow-up is crucial in your job search. I'm going to be sharing a couple of reasons why follow-up is extremely important and something that all of you need to be, incorporating into your job search. And by the way, folks, if your idea of follow-up is simply, reaching out to your point of contact and saying, hey, do you have an update or have you made a decision? That's not follow-up, right? So right there is a reason why, if you did not know that, you need to be tuning into this session, because I'm going to be speaking about that and sharing some information with you. Now, for those of you who are in IT or tech professionals, just to give you a heads up, I have a special guest who's joining me on my live stream tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern time zone. I got Jaspreet Dole in the house. And she's a project manager, keynote speaker. She's also been selected by the PMI as a Future 50 recipient. It's going to be a fantastic conversation, folks. Make sure you tune in. So again, mark your calendars, set your reminders. It's going to be right here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern time zone. Unfortunately, for those of you tuning in on Instagram, I'm not going to be live streaming to Instagram for that. So you have to follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or Periscope to see that conversation. All right. But make sure you tune in. We're going to be talking about project management, the disconnect between technical teams and business. It's going to be a really interesting conversation, folks. So make sure you tune in. And by the way, going back to the TO Tech Career Fair, I have a special link for all of you to get a free general admission ticket right now. But you have to message me as soon as possible for the direct link, so I can hook you up with that, and you can get access to the conference, the general admission for free. So send me a direct message, all right? So that being said, folks, before we get started, for those of you who do have job search questions or questions in regards to recruiters, I want you to start putting all your questions in the comments right now, so that I'm going to get into the questions later on in today's session. But, just want to give you a heads up on that. And again, for those of you who are IT professionals in Canada or the US, you're at a point where you're frustrated about your job search. You need help. I want you to send me a direct message so we can chat more about your situation and see how I can potentially help you, all right? But going on to today's topic, all right, so recruiters, right? You either love them or you hate them, or sometimes you feel both at the same time. I know I've been on the other side of the table, folks. I've been working in recruitment, again, like I mentioned, for 8+ years. So I'm going to be sharing with you today top 3 reasons why recruiters are potentially not responding to your messages. Now, I want you to understand that I said top 3, all right? There might be so many different reasons why a recruiter is not responding to you. What I'm going to be talking about today are the top 3 reasons why they're potentially not responding, right? And having this understanding will allow you to set realistic expectations when you're reaching out to recruiters, or make the right pivots at your end, make the right adjustments, so that you know what's going on and how you can, adjust things at your end and from your side of the table, right? So reason number 1 is, and by the way, folks, these are 3 very simple questions. I mean, these are 3 very simple reasons. Like the simplicity of these reasons might even kind of, make you feel like, okay, this is pretty simple stuff. But look, these are things you got to pay attention to, folks, and make the adjustments at your end, so that you can get the attention of recruiters, right? So top reason number 1 is they simply don't see the skill set fit, right? Whether it's a general message you're sending, a networking message, maybe it's it's regarding a specific position. The recruiter does not see the skill set fit. Now, when I say skill set fit, don't underestimate the importance of skill set fit, right? The skill set fit is basically the foundation of the recruiter's search, right? When they're searching for talent. I see a comment here from my friend Rajesh. Take that 30-minute meeting, folks. Job search is like Christopher Nolan's movie. Lots of hidden info. Dean helps us to find them in Jiffy. Awesome. Thanks so much for that testimonial, Rajesh. Appreciate that. Yeah, so folks, feel free to, reach out to me if you're an IT professional in Canada, the US. You want to set up a 30-minute call with me, definitely feel free to do that. All right. But appreciate your feedback, Rajesh, and talk to you sometime soon. So again, reason number one, folks, why recruiters are not responding to your messages, they simply don't see the skill set fit, right? Now, this could be, the skill set fit, the idea of your skill set fit is something recruiters get from your resume, from your LinkedIn profile, or from your messaging, right? Don't assume that every recruiter, they're going to read your message and go research your profile. You have to have a compelling message, because if you don't have a compelling message, they're not going to even get to the point where they're checking out your profile and or even your resume if you've attached your resume. But going back to skill set fit, why is skill set fit important? Well, the deal is, folks, in regards to recruiters do not make the hiring decisions. The sole function of a recruiter is to evaluate what needs their organization has. If it's an internal recruiter, if it's a staffing agency recruiter, what the needs of their client is, or clients, right? Plural, could be plural. And based on that, evaluate the required skill sets, and then go out into the marketplace and figure out, okay, who in the marketplace, in the job market, is available and interested in new opportunities, that is a fit, or who has the skill set fit for this position or these opportunities that I recently posted on LinkedIn or Monster or Indeed or wherever it is. So whether or not your message, your resume, your LinkedIn profile captures the attention of the recruiter, number one reason why they might not be responding is they do not simply see the skill set fit, right? So if your resume, your profile, your LinkedIn profile, your message does not showcase how you are a potential skill set fit for the recruiter's client, right? The client being an internal client at their organization, or the client being, one of their clients if it's a staffing agency. If that is not being clearly communicated and demonstrated in your message, again, your message, your LinkedIn profile, or your resume, your message is not going to capture the attention of the recruiter. They're not going to bother reaching out to you. They're not going to respond to your message, because again, the recruiter's focus, folks, always remember this, the focus of the recruiter is on what they are actively recruiting on right now. And if what they're actively recruiting on at the moment, at this time, is not a good fit for, is not a good match for your skill set, then they're probably not going to respond. So that's reason number one, right? So reason number one is they just don't see the skill set fit, right? That's the most important thing. I got Jennifer Balan on Instagram. She's cracking up. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if I said anything funny. Jennifer, maybe you're laughing at my funny head. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, all right? But thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your comment. We got a thumbs up from Haki there. Appreciate that, Haki. We got Prem who gives a thumbs up. Awesome. Thanks for that, Prem. So, folks, that's the thing, right? That's top reason number one. Now, top reason number two is just because they posted a position, right? Maybe they posted a position for a job, a role, or whatever it is. Just because they posted a position does not mean it's necessarily something high on their priority list. So reason number two is simply a matter of priority. Like whatever position you applied for is simply not something high priority for the recruiter. Right? Remember, a recruiter might be recruiting on multiple positions, and in most cases, whether it's a corporate recruiter or a staffing agency recruiter, it doesn't necessarily mean all of those positions they posted about are high on their priority list, because it could depend on what the actual needs are for their client, how urgent the hire is, how urgent it is. All those factors determine how much attention the recruiter is going to give for that position, right? So again, it could be that they're simply not actively recruiting on the role. Or the role that they are recruiting on, that's high priority for them, is not related to your skill set. Jennifer says, sorry, Mike. Hey, no worries, Jennifer. I was just kind of pulling your leg there, but appreciate your comment. Thanks for tuning in. So that's the reason why, folks. That's the reason why the recruiter might not be recruiting. Reason number two is simply the position that you applied for, that you messaged them about, or you submitted your resume for. Not necessarily high on their priority list, right? Because the priority for the recruiter is whatever is urgent, right? What's the immediate need? What's the urgent need? What is closest to making a hire? That's where the recruiter's attention is. And also keep in mind that there are a lot of cases, not just recruiters, by the way, organizations, companies, hiring managers, A lot of times they post positions that are actually they're pipelining for. When I say pipelining, what I mean by that is it's not an immediate need, but it's something they're forecasting for the near future. But they want to get in touch with candidates that they're going to reach out to at that point in the future when the position does become something important to them, or something that they want to put their attention on. So keep this in mind. And that, by the way, as a side note, that's why you got to be following up, folks. That's another reason why you got to be following up. Don't let your ego get in the way. You got to be following up, because it might not be an immediate need, but there might be a point where that position they posted for, they deal with all their other emergencies, all those other urgent roles, and they finally get to, this position. That's, you want to be there. You want to be present. You want to be available. You want to be able to, be a presence there and let them know that, hey, maybe now you're recruiting on this position. I'm here. I'm still here. You're not saying that literally, but what I'm saying is that's the function of follow-up. But that's a totally different topic, right? So that being said, so we got a comment here from Jennifer on Instagram. Jennifer says it should still be a courtesy for them to say position is filled. It only takes a few seconds. Yeah. So Jennifer, that's a good point. So if it is a position whereby the candidate has actively been in the interview cycle, right, and the recruiter has been their point of contact. They've interviewed with the client, they've interviewed with the company, and the position is filled. 100% agree with you, Jennifer. The recruiter should 100% definitely let the candidate know, hey, we appreciate your time, meeting with the client and going through the process, but this position has been filled. Absolutely, 100% agree with you, Jennifer. It only takes a few seconds to do that, right? Now, that being said, folks, it is unrealistic for any organization or any recruiter to reach out to every applicant, right? Like there could be hundreds and hundreds or even thousands of applicants. So that is a real unrealistic expectation. But as Jennifer said, if the candidate has been actively in their interview cycle, right, actively interviewing with the company, and the organization decided not to go with the candidate, that those candidates within the interview cycle definitely deserve an update or feedback as to the status of the position. So definitely agree with you, Jennifer. Good comment there. Nitin says good morning. Hey, Nitin, good morning to you as well. So that's reason number 2, folks, is that it's simply that the role, it might not be a top priority for them at the moment. So you need to keep that in mind. And also remember, you got to keep following up, because when that position might not be a priority right now, but when it is a priority again, and when it is part of the recruiter's focus of attention, you want to be there, and that's the function of follow-up, right? And I'm going to be talking about that more again at the TO Tech Career Fair. So again, send me a direct message if you want the link for the free admission tickets, right, for the TO Tech Career Fair. It's a virtual career fair. I'm going to be talking about follow-up, but if you don't want to hear about it from me, there are other speakers as well, right? But it's a great event, so make sure you DM me for the link. Now, reason number three is, and this might be, this is probably the biggest one, right? Your message is simply not compelling, folks. Your message, your introductory message. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, right? A lot of you send out messages that are just not compelling. They don't capture attention. They're generic. A lot of you are really underselling yourself, right? Most of you tuning in here, you have a lot of impressive accomplishments, achievements, projects you've done, but your messages are simply not compelling, right? So at your end, you need to make sure you're formulating messages that are compelling, capture attention, demonstrate your value, right? Those are the components of a good message. They capture attention, are compelling, and they capture attention, and they make the recipient want to get into a further conversation with you. So if your messages are not doing that, not accomplishing that, you're probably not going to get a response, right? Now, just to kind of stick to this topic as well, based on my experience, and being in recruitment, prior to being currently being like a job search coach, I get a lot of messages from candidates and people in IT professionals for the most part, because I was recruiting in IT for the most part, and look, a lot of you are sending generic messages, folks, that are not going to elicit a response. I get a lot of messages where the message is simply, "Hey Dean, how's it going?" Like that's it. That's the message. Like that's not going to capture anyone's attention, folks, right? And the message might be, "Hey, I'm a Java developer with 8 years of experience." Well, I mean, that's great, but how many other Java developers are there with 8 years of experience, folks? Your message needs to capture attention, right? So at your end, what I want you to do after today's session is I want you to take note of what you can do to make your message more compelling and stand out and really capture the attention of the recipient, right? The person at the other end. Because if it's not doing that, it's they're just going to skip over your messages, especially if it's a highly generic message where it's just like, hey, how's it going, or hey, good morning, or hey, good afternoon, or hey, Mr. Mrs. Recruiter, how are you doing today? Like, if that's the only content on your message, that greatly reduces your chances of getting a response. It's very generic. It doesn't capture attention. It's not helping the recipient figure out, okay, out of these 10, 20, 30, 40, maybe even hundreds of messages I'm getting, why should I pay attention to this person's message, and why should I correspond with them if all they're saying is, hey, good morning, or hey, how's it going, or hey, how are you? These are not capturing attention, folks. You got to create messages that capture attention. And again, grab attention, capture attention, show your value, and make the recipient want to get into communication with you, right? So all of you folks need to be thinking about that, right? Because if you're not doing that, chances are your message is going to get overlooked or ignored. Because look, recruiters are very busy. Like, most of a recruiter's time is spent on the phone, in conversation with people, speaking to candidates. They're recruiting on positions. So a lot of communication, right? And that's not just on the phone, also on emails, right? Recruiters have to respond to emails, LinkedIn messages. So just like any other profession, folks, recruiters have to prioritize. Just like whatever your field is, I'm sure in your day, you have to prioritize what you got to do, right? Which tasks you have to pay, most of the attention to, immediate, urgent attention to, which tasks require you to provide, secondary attention, third level attention, whatever the case is. So just like that, recruiters have to do the same thing. They got to prioritize. So if your message is something very, very generic, such as, hey, Dean, how's it going? Like, I got to prioritize, folks, right? If I was a recruiter, I got to prioritize. Am I going to pay attention to that message, right? Someone saying, hey, how's it going? Or am I going to pay more attention to someone that's really sent me a compelling message that captures my attention, that draws me in, that shows their value, how they can help the organization, or how they can help my client? Which one am I going to spend more time on, folks? Right? Let me know in the comments. Like, let's be realistic, right? So for those of you tuning in, that's what I want you to do. In terms of your messaging, I want you to figure out how you can create a more compelling message that captures attention, makes you stand out, demonstrates your value, and encourages the recruiter to want to get into a further conversation with you, right? Now, I'm talking about recruiters today, but really this applies to anyone, right? Not just recruiters, like hiring managers, points of contact, people you're trying to network with. That's what you need to be incorporating into your messaging, right? Now, this is a large part of what I discuss in my coaching program, my one-on-one coaching program for my current coaching students. I actually lay out the most efficient end-to-end structure for a message, like how you need to be structuring your message, like the actual format and structuring of a message that increases your chances of getting a response. So look, if you're struggling in your job search, again, I offer one-on-one coaching services, folks. You want to send me a direct message. Let's set up a 30-minute complimentary discovery call so we can chat more about your personal situation and map out where the problem areas might be, and how I can potentially help you as your coach one-on-one through Zoom coaching. All right. So if you're interested in learning more, send me a direct message. Happy to provide you with more information and see how we can set that up. And so those were the 3 tips, 3 reasons why, folks, why most recruiters are not responding to your communication, to your messaging, and to your emails, right? Again, I'm going to go over them again. I got my notes here. So reason number 1 is they just don't see the skill set fit, right? You're reaching out to them about some position, or maybe you're trying to network with the recruiter, whatever it is, but they simply don't see the skill set fit. Now, this could be a lack on your resume, could be something lacking on your LinkedIn profile, could be something lacking in your message, right? Going over to reason number 3, but that's the number 1. That's probably one of the most frequent reasons. They simply don't see the skill set fit, right? Reason number 2 is, yeah, maybe there is a skill set fit, but the position you're reaching out to them about is not a high priority for them. They posted it, they've advertised it, they're pipelining candidates, right? They want to get in communication with candidates, but it's just not high priority for them right now because some other priority, some other urgency came up. They're recruiting on something else that's more high priority. So they might not be getting back to you regarding that, right? Now, number 3 is your message is simply not compelling, right? You're sending out a message, an introductory message. You're trying to network with recruiters. You're trying to introduce yourself. No response. Right? It could simply be the content of your message, the formatting, the structure, how it's being set up. Like your messaging is not compelling. It doesn't make you stand out. It doesn't showcase your value. It doesn't showcase how you can help how you can help them with what they have going on, or a multitude of reasons, right? So your messaging, the format, the structure of your messaging makes a huge difference as well. And that's the number 3 reason as to why, right? Now, in regards to any questions you folks have, I'm going to go over the questions right now. But that was today's topic, folks. I hope these 3 reasons help you and assist you in making the right adjustments at your end in terms of setting realistic expectations, as well as making adjustments at your end, such as your messaging, right? So something I definitely want all of you to do is stop sending out those very generic messages that have no clear, like, nothing, right? It's just, hey, how you doing? Or, hey, how's it going? Or, hey, I'm an IT professional. Can you let me know if there's any positions? Like, these are not compelling messages, folks. So all of you need to think about how can I create a compelling message, because this is a very important part, especially in the initial stages of your communication with the recruiters, right? It has to be a compelling message. And that was reason number 3. All right. So hope this information helped. Let me know in the comments all of your questions. Now I'm going to open things up to the Q&A. So let me know in the comments what questions you have, if you need any clarification about what I spoke about. And again, for those of you who are IT professionals here in Canada or the US, you're struggling in your job search, I do provide one-on-one Zoom coaching sessions, right? And I'm happy to provide you with more information, and wanted to schedule a 30-minute discovery call with those of you who are in that situation and you need external help, right? Send me a direct message. I'm happy to provide you with more information on how I can help. This is primarily for IT professionals in Canada or the US at this time. I'm hoping to expand that and open that up later on, but appreciate you, the rest of you tuning in who are non-IT. I can still help you with my job search tips and advice, right? So we got a question here from Andrew on Instagram. Hey Andrew, thanks for tuning in. So Andrew says, is there value to reaching out to recruiters without a job to apply for and just cold calling to get your resume out? Andrew, fantastic question. I love that question. And it's a great question that all of you need to be really thinking about, right? So Andrew's question was, look, Dean, like, is there any point even reaching out to recruiters if they're not actively recruiting on your skill set, like cold messaging, cold emailing, maybe cold calling to get your resume out? So Andrew, 100% yes. Now, that being said, Andrew, I want you to focus on those recruiters that it makes the most sense for you to reach out to. For example, if you're reaching out to and Andrew, I'm not sure of your background or your skill set, so I'm just going to throw something out there. So let's assume you're a developer, Andrew, right? And you're reaching out to recruiters that don't actively recruit on a lot of developer-related positions, then that will be a waste of time, right? You got to prioritize, folks, right? You at your end as a job seeker have to prioritize. So you have to identify those recruiters who frequently recruit on your skill set. And those are the ones you want to focus your attention on and provide your introduction to and get in touch with and be reaching out to, Andrew, right? So again, Andrew, if I could simplify my advice into 2 steps. Step number 1, identify recruiters who actively recruit for your skill set. Step number 2 is absolutely get in touch with them, introduce them, and follow up with them, because they frequently recruit for your skill set. They might not have anything for you right now, but there might be, they might get something for you, within a few days, next week or next month. Who knows? So you got to keep in touch with them, right? So I hope that helps, Andrew, but great question. And I'm going to go through the questions here on I see I have a lot of questions from a few questions from my people on LinkedIn. Sahij Paul says, do the 5. So I'm not sure what you mean there, Sahij Paul. Maybe if you can clarify that. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Good morning, Dean. Okay, so we got some shout outs here. Wow, a lot of people tuning in. Appreciate everyone tuning in. I'm just looking for the questions. And by the way, folks, if you have any job search related questions or anything related to today's topic, feel free to put in the comments, right? I'm happy to answer all of your questions, whatever those questions are. Shankar says, hey, hi Dean, good morning. Your sessions are something I really look forward to. Hey, I appreciate that feedback, Shankar. Hope the sessions are helping, right? And that's the whole point of these sessions. Seeing how I can get out the information to help all of you folks, right? So we got a question here from Tarsh. So first of all, shout out to Tarsh. Thanks for tuning in, Tarsh, and putting your question out there. So Tarsh says, hi, what's the best way to take feedback on why you were rejected after first HR round of interview or later interviews? So this is a great question, Tarsh, right? And this is a frustration a lot of job seekers encounter in their job search. How do I get the feedback? Now, what I want you to do, so 2 things, Tarsh, right? First of all, like, you might have to follow up with the recruiter or your point of contact to get the feedback. And look, realistically, folks, a lot of times, a lot of recruiters will simply not provide you with the feedback simply because they don't want to offend anyone, right? Because sometimes the feedback might not be positive, right? And I spoke about this, I think, on last week's session or the week before. And I touched on this, right? That a lot of times, a lot of people avoid confrontation. A lot of people avoid negative confrontation, right? This is a human thing, right? It's not necessarily a recruiter thing. It's a human thing. And maybe there was a time that a lot of recruiters, they had that experience of giving honest feedback to candidates, and it ended up with the candidate yelling at them, or it became very ugly and confrontational. And because of that, a lot of recruiters, not just recruiters, by the way, even hiring managers are hesitant to provide real honest feedback, because they don't want to have those situations, right? That stress and that negativity and all that stuff. Now, I'm not saying that's right. Now, myself as a recruiter, I always prided myself, whether the feedback was positive, negative, or nothing, I'd always provide the feedback to the candidates that I was representing. Now, sometimes that resulted in negative, the very thing I'm talking about, right? Negative confrontation, right? The candidate couldn't take the feedback, they couldn't handle it. They started, arguing and yelling and things like that. But for me, my whole thing about that is, look, I have a duty and a responsibility to provide feedback to candidates, whether or not they respond negatively or positively. Now, that doesn't mean every recruiter out there is going to operate with the same principle, folks, right? That's just the reality of it. A lot of recruiters, they're going to experience that negative confrontation one time, and they're never going to provide feedback again, like at least honest feedback, especially if it's negative feedback, right? So, Tarsh, my suggestion to you, Tarsh, is, and the reason why I mentioned all that is, you need to set what's the term I'm looking for? You need to set the standard for feedback, even like right in the first conversation, like right at the beginning of the interview cycle, right? So what I would suggest you to do, Tarsh, is before you even get to the interview stage, I want you to have a really clear, transparent conversation with your point of contact, whether that's the recruiter or the hiring manager, and let them know that you would really appreciate feedback throughout the interview cycle, right? Whether their decision is to move ahead with you or not, you have to let them know that you appreciate the feedback, and you're going to take that feedback, whether it's negative or positive. So you might say, hey, Dean, I appreciate you presenting me for this opportunity. And Dean, before we get into the interview stage or anything like that, I just want to let you know, Dean, that I'm very much looking forward to any feedback that yourself or your client might have for me. I understand that some people don't take feedback positively, but I want to assure you that your feedback will allow me to make the right adjustments in my job search, better myself, make the right adjustments, so I'm better able to handle the rest of my job search process. So I just want to assure you that any feedback you provide me with, I will take it constructively. But I do want to get an assurance from you, Dean, that you're going to provide me with feedback, whether that feedback is negative or positive or whatever the case. And I want to assure you, at my end, I'm not going to respond negatively to any of your feedback. I'm going to take it in stride and make the changes and adjustments so I can do well in my job search. So that's what I would advise you to do, Tarsh, right? So you can have that clear conversation right up front, which increases your chances of the recruiter or whoever your point of contact is in feeling more comfortable in giving you feedback if that feedback is negative. Now, positive feedback, nobody has any issues with providing positive feedback, right? Because positive feedback is good. It's just when it comes to giving negative feedback that everyone gets a little hesitant, and they'd rather avoid providing the feedback to the candidates. So my suggestion to Tarsh and all of you folks watching is, if you want to increase your chances of getting that feedback, is you need to have this clear conversation right up front, and really set the expectation on feedback, and that you expect feedback from them. But at your end, you're going to take the feedback positively and constructively as well. All right. So great question there, Tarsh. Hope that helps. Asha says, hey, Dean. Hey, Asha. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your comment. Ali says, why do recruiters reach out and then say you don't match the skill set? Yeah. So Ali, this is a great question. So, in most cases when this happens, folks, it's probably because the recruiter did a mass, a mass emailing or a mass like LinkedIn search. Right now, certain programs within LinkedIn, not programs, sorry, certain, you know what I'm talking about. Those packages in LinkedIn. So, for example, there's a package in LinkedIn called LinkedIn Recruiter, right? It's for recruiters, and they can basically, and this is to make life simple for recruiters, pretty much, folks, right? Just to be very frank with all of you, if you've been tuning in for a while, Dean doesn't sugarcoat anything, right? I'm not here to sugarcoat or make everything look like rainbows and ponies, right? I'm just giving you the real story. to save time, like real recruiters cannot realistically send individual messages to each and every candidate when they do a skill set search, right? So what's probably happening, Ali, is that they're doing a skill set search, and they're sending out initial introductory messages to multiple candidates, right? This saves like a whole chunk of time for recruiters, like serious amount of time. Like imagine, instead of having to reach out to individually to like 100 people, you just hit select all in the search results and you send out a mass message. Right now, from your end as a candidate, I know folks, you're gonna say like, oh, that's not, that's so stupid, it's not personalized, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And I totally get that, folks. From your perspective, I understand that. But look, from the recruiter standpoint, like it allows the recruiter to cover more ground, right? So what's probably happening, Ali, is that you happen to have some skill sets that maybe match the search string the recruiter put up. But ultimately, after taking a closer look at your resume, maybe they didn't really see what they wanted to see in an ideal candidate. Maybe it's the industry, maybe it's the type of projects. I don't know. Like it could be anything, Ali. But you showed up because your skill set appeared to be a match for their search string, but they didn't continue the conversation because they didn't. Taking a closer look at your resume, at your profile, they didn't see the optimal fit for the position that they were recruiting on. So that's why that's happening, Ali. Hope that helps. Look, I know it's not ideal, but such is the real world, folks, right? I'm here to tell you the real story. So great question, Ali. Hope that helps. And Joel says, how long can we do a follow-up with the recruiters? So Joel, if it's for an active position, they just presented you for, I would suggest following up on a weekly basis in the first month, right? Month 1, weekly follow-up. Month 2, every other week, right? Every 2 weeks. Month 3 onwards, once a month. And in the meantime, Joel, do not be caught up in just one or following up on this one opportunity. Keep following up, but at the same time, I want you folks looking for other opportunities. You do not want to be caught up on 1 or 2 opportunities you're following up on. That's how you get into depression and disappointments and feeling down, and you feel upset and you feel angry. Next thing you know, you're going on LinkedIn and you're writing a post about how terrible recruiters are, right? So what you want to do, Joel, is you want to keep following up, but at the same time, you want to keep looking for other opportunities. And that second part is equally as important as the follow-up itself, because the second part allows you to stay motivated, right? You stay motivated. You got something else to feel excited about, another organization, another recruiter, another position. Like you got to keep yourself motivated like that, folks. You got to keep looking for other opportunities, right? So keep that in mind, folks. You got to, first of all, definitely keep following up, right? Number 2, while you're following up, keep looking for other opportunities. Do not be dependent. Do not put all your hopes on like whatever opportunities you're following up on, because those might fall apart, right? You never know. So keep looking for other opportunities. So great question, Joel. Hope that helps. We got a question here from, by the way, shout out to my cousin Noel on Instagram, who just gave me, I think that's a high five or a high, but shout out to Noel. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. We got a question here. Hey, Dean, when in the interview phase and how can we negotiate remote work possibility? Okay, so this is a great question. And look, right now, folks, right, this is one of the things that has kind of ended up in a positive for job seekers during this whole pandemic situation, because a lot of organizations, everyone's working remotely, right? So the person asking this question says, when in the interview phase and how can we negotiate remote work possibilities? So first of all, first thing you need to do, folks, is in your initial conversation with the organization, you need to establish what their remote work situation is like, right? Like you got to figure out, are they working remotely right now? Like what's their company policy right now during COVID-19? Is everyone 100% remote? Is it, a few days a week remote and then the rest of the week everyone's coming in person? This is what you got to figure out in that initial conversation, folks, right? So having figured that out, that puts you in a better position, whoever this person who wrote this question is asking, to present yourself as a potential candidate, because again, you're not restricted by your location, right? Because this organization, you just found out that they have everyone working remotely. So you working remotely is probably not an issue, right? And this is in relation to the current situation we're in, where a lot of organizations have remote work set up, right? So I would suggest to this individual, figure that out as soon as possible. It saves everyone time. It saves you time, saves the organization time. But firstly, how you need to position it is, you first and foremost, you need to figure out and find out what their remote works policy is right now during the pandemic, right? And getting an answer to that, if they say, oh yeah, everyone's working remotely, then guess what? You wanting to work remotely can it should not be an issue, right? Further on in the conversation. And if it is, it could be that something else is the issue, right? But great question here. Hope that it helps. Ali says, thanks for your feedback. Hey, no worries, Ali. And all the best in your job search, all right? We got Joel says, thanks, Dean. Awesome. Thanks, Joel. Again, that was a great question, Joel. So appreciate that. So we got a question from Taha. So shout out to Taha. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for your question. So Taha says, hey, Dean, a recruiter said they were going to contact me and discuss with me about a position. However, I contacted them 3 times already asking to discuss the opportunity with a span of 3 weeks. However, no response from their end. Where do I go from there? Okay, so great question, Taha, right? So firstly, Taha, like I'm not sure if this is a staffing agency or a corporate recruiter, right? I'm assuming this might be a staffing agency. I'm not sure. But if it's a staffing agency, I'm not sure how you're reaching out. Maybe you're sending messages or emails. Folks, pick up the phone. You got to be comfortable with picking up the phone, folks, right? So Taha, my suggestion is, aside from, I'm assuming you're maybe reaching out through LinkedIn or email, pick up the phone. Call the recruiter, Taha. That's what the recruiter's primary function, whether it's a staffing agency recruiter or a corporate recruiter, is to communicate with candidates that are a potential fit for positions they're recruiting on. So there's no problem with you picking up the phone, calling into the agency or calling into the organization and asking to speak to this recruiter by name, right? So that's my suggestion to you, Taha. Continue your follow-up with this person, with this recruiter. Keep following up. Now, it could be that, the position has closed and, this and that, but you never know. You never know. Maybe your email slipped through the cracks. Maybe your LinkedIn message, they didn't see it because they get a lot of messages. Who knows? So I want you to call them as well, Taha, and follow up with them and refer back to your initial conversation and see if you can get an update that way, right? But keep following up. But also the second thing, Taha, right? Just like I mentioned to, I think it was Joel, keep looking for other opportunities. Don't get stuck on this one opportunity. You want to keep looking for other opportunities. So keep persisting in the follow-up, but keep looking for other opportunities, Taha, right? All right, so hope that helps. A great question, Taha. We got a question here from Joel. Hey, shout out to Joel. Thanks for tuning in. Dean, how can we know if our strategy is working out or not? Joel, great question. I'm a believer in keeping track of your metrics, folks, right? Now, my coaching, right, my one-on-one coaching services are based on 3 metrics, right? Number 1 metric is, and by the way, these 3 metrics are what I help job seekers lift, right? Because I never guarantee. I know some career coaches out there guarantee, hey, I guarantee I'm going to get you the job. I never make that guarantee because there's so many different variables in landing a job, right? And one of those variables being you, right? How you handle your conversations and stuff like that. But what I do guarantee is helping you lift 3 key metrics in your job search. And going back to your question, Joel, these are the 3 metrics that are going to help you figure out where your strategy is going wrong and if it's going wrong. Metric number 1, and you want to take notes on this, folks. Metric number 1 is number of applications you're sending out and the number of responses you're getting in return. It's more so a ratio, right? What's the ratio of applications going out and responses? That's the first metric you need to keep track of. Metric number 2 is number of those initial conversations converting into interviews, right? Could be first interviews, second interviews, third interviews, final interviews, whatever the case is. That's the second metric. How many of those initial conversations are converting into interviews? That's metric number 2. Metric number 3 is after those interviews, you go through those interviews, you get to the final interview. How many of those final interviews are converting into offer letters? That's metric number 3. You need to keep track of those metrics, Joel, right? And you need to keep track of those conversions. And when you're keeping track, you're going to see exactly where the issue is in your job search and whether or not your strategy is working, right? If you're sending out a whole bunch of applications and you're getting like this many responses, then you know that the problem in your strategy is at the application stage, right? So you gotta that's where you gotta focus your attention. Now, maybe you're getting the responses and you're getting a whole bunch of initial responses, right? But very little of them are converting into interviews. What does that tell you? That tells you the problem in your strategy is in that part of your job search, that conversion stage of initial responses to interviews. They're not converting. Or maybe first interview is not converting into second not converting into third not converting into final. That's the second metric, right? That's going to let you know where in your strategy the mistake is. And then the final metric is conversion from final interview into offer letter. That's the third metric. If you're getting a whole bunch of final interviews, but none of them are converting into offers, that's where the problem is in your strategy. So keep track of these 3 metrics, folks. And again, as a coach, as your one-on-one coach, right? And I do this through Zoom coaching. My responsibility and my end is to first of all examine which part of these metrics you're experiencing the issue in, and how we can lift that metric up. That's the guarantee I can make, right? I don't guarantee jobs. I don't guarantee, yeah, I'm going to get you a job. 100% guarantee you're going to land a job. No, I don't make any guarantee like that. Because working in recruitment, I know it's unrealistic to make that kind of a claim, because there's so many variables in the job search that can affect whether or not you get a job. What I can do is I can look at your numbers, those 3 metrics, and help you lift up those metrics, right? Putting you in a better position to land yourself a job, right? And put yourself in those situations where you can have those conversations, right? So hope that helps, Joel, and great question. Suresh says, hi, Dean, good session. I'm enjoying. Awesome. Thanks. Appreciate the feedback, Suresh. Viral says, hey, DK, can you guide me how we can negotiate salary based on experience or based on current salary? Yeah, Viral. So for salary, folks, you got to do your due diligence. You got to research. Now, a lot of staffing agencies, folks, they actually provide salary guides that's based on data from placements that they have made, and could be based on hundreds and hundreds of placements, depending on how large the agency is. So do some research on some of the staffing agencies out there, Viral. They provide a lot of great salary guides in relation to what you can expect, but you got to do your research at your end, Viral, right? That's my advice to you. If you don't know your research, if you haven't done your due diligence, you're going to be lost in the salary negotiations, right? So you got to do your research. You got to know your value, and that's how you present yourself. But great question, Viral. I hope that helps. Taha says, I left a voicemail twice, Dean, so I thought he's not interested anymore. Yeah, so Taha, yeah, it's going back to your question, right? So look, Taha, I understand, it's disappointing that, you left a voicemail, they don't respond, but I want you to keep persisting, my friend. Do not give up. Persist. Keep following up with this recruiter. But at the same time, remember tip number 2 is, do not depend on just this handful of these opportunities where no one's responding. Keep looking for other opportunities. Keep looking for other things to get excited about. Keep pursuing other opportunities, but at the same time, keep following up on your pipeline, on your job, on your opportunities pipeline, right? Grab onto it like a hungry dog, right? Grrr, right? Don't let go. Don't give up, Taha, right? Keep doing it, but keep looking for other opportunities, though. That's my advice to you. Taha says, thanks, Dean. Appreciate the feedback. No worries. Anjali says, hi, Dean. Do you have any tips on how to effectively complete the pre-recorded video interviews? Practice your answers for sure. Anything else we need to take care of? Yeah, so Anjali, look, folks, like personally, in my personal opinion, I really dislike these pre-recorded videos. Like seriously, like companies, organizations out there, if you're watching this, come on, folks. Like, I mean, it's not fair to the candidates. Like, they're not able to interact with. Like, I understand organizations and companies, you want to save time and you just want to put a whole bunch of pre-recorded, questions and then have them recorded. But come on, folks. Like, seriously, come on. Like the candidate, is at a disadvantage. They don't know anything about the organization. Sorry, not the organization, but they don't know anything about the project. They don't know any. They're not able to divulge any. Get any information from you regarding the project, what they need to highlight, and things like that. Like, I don't know, folks. But in any case, Anjali, like, my advice to you is, if you have a point of contact with the organization, get as much information as possible about the project. The technical environment, the details, and all that stuff, so you can at least cater your responses so that they're relevant to the project and what the companies or the organization is looking for in an ideal candidate. All right, but I hope that helps, Anjali. And maybe I'm probably going to cover this in a future session. So thanks. Hope that helps, Anjali. Rajesh shared. Yeah, so Rajesh, I think this is a link to actually keep track of your job search. It's a great application. Rajesh actually shared with me in the past as well, so make sure you check that out. And Viral says, hi, Dean, how long we need to follow up if HR says your profile is on hold? Like I said before, Viral, month 1 every week, month 2 every 2 weeks, month 3 once a month onwards. All right. Hope that helps. And Viral says, thanks, Dean. Appreciate the feedback. Hey, no worries, Viral. So look, folks, looks like that's all the questions. So hope everybody got great information out of this. And reminder, if you want the link for the free general admission for the TO Tech Virtual Career Fair, I'm going to be speaking about follow-up strategy, why you need to follow up. But there's going to be other session speakers as well. If you want the free general admission link, send me a direct message. I'm happy to share the link with you. Reminder number 2, remember, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time zone, I'm going live here with my special guest, Jaspreet Dole. We're talking about project management. This is not going to be, so tomorrow's session is not going to be it's not going to be me talking about job search stuff. My guest, Jaspreet, she's going to be talking about PM stuff, best practices, challenges. This is for those of you who have an interest in project management and you want to hear from someone who's highly successful in the space. So make sure you tune in. Again, that's tomorrow, Thursday, October 15th, at 5 p.m. Eastern time zone. For my Instagram people, unfortunately, I'm not streaming on Instagram. You have to follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or Periscope. And then finally, folks, those of you struggle, you're an IT professional in Canada or the US, you're struggling in your job search. You do not need to struggle, all right? Contact me, direct message me to schedule a 30-minute discovery call so I can learn a bit more about your situation, what your struggles and what your problems are, and see if you getting me as your coach makes sense for your situation, and that, you know, I'm able to assist you with your situation in your job search, right? So folks, thanks everyone for tuning in. If you're, if you weren't able to tune in, the replay should be available right after this. And I hope everybody is having a fantastic start to the week. And folks, look, do not take this information and just feel excited about it. Take action. I always say this. Take action, folks. You got to take action. Keep moving forward. Figure out what steps you need to take. Make adjustments. Take action. Keep moving forward. Don't give up, folks. Don't give up. Keep following up on the active opportunities, but keep looking for other opportunities. All right. So keep pushing through. Don't give up. I'm here to help you. Keep tuning in. Keep following me, folks. Stay close to me. I guarantee following me is gonna help you in your job search. And by the way, for those of you who have not done so already, sign up for my newsletter, folks. I share a lot of job search tips and strategies, and you can stay notified about events that I'm participating in, speaking at, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So make sure you send me a direct message if you want to subscribe to my newsletter as well. By the way, I totally forgot to mention as well, by the way, I'm going to be, so I got invited by PMI, the Project Management Institute, to speak at 2 events. So one is going to be, I think it's next week or the week after. It's for their Career Accelerator program. That one, unfortunately, from what I understand, it's a closed door event. It's only for students in the Career Accelerator program. And on November 7th, I'm going to be speaking at the PMI Ontario or PMI Toronto. It's called the PD Day or something like that. So look, if you're going to be there, hey, I hope to see you folks there as well, right? So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Put into action what you learned, folks. Put into action and stay tuned, stay close to me, and keep pushing through in your job search, all right? Everyone have a fantastic day.